David, time for the rewind. Wake up. Time for the rewind.
What the heck? Oh, hey, everybody. It is TexAgs Rewind. David Nuno here. I'm sorry. I've been just working. It's great acting. I know. It's really good. It's going to get me an Oscar. But this is what we got on the show. All right, Kirk Bohls came on from the Austin American-Statesman talking a little bit about what needs to happen for Texas to get into the SEC and where that stands right now. We also had President Loftin. He told us how long this has been in the works. We love talking to Dr. Loftin about that. Also, Billy Liucci with one of those great rants that we're all accustomed to. 80 Staples from the Athletic says, Aggies, you don't need to worry about the future. It's going to be all right.
So you hear it from Kirk Bohls that Texas needs A&M more than A&M needs Texas. There you go.
I think that's what we figured out, right, Kirk?
Texas needs the SEC. I don't know if they need A&M as much, but it's just a great fit, as we all know.
No, not that good.
It is the premier conference.
Hey, Kirk,
What's that?
the last thing for you real quick, because we're about to hit a break. How much of this do you think is fear of how much A&M has ascended these last 10 years and the direction that program's going? That's why they want and need to get in the SEC.
I don't think it's fear. I think it's smart because it's just the Premier League, and you want to be in the Premier League like A&M was, and had the guts and the savvy to do that. And but I don't think Texas fears A&M. I would never go that far, but A&M was ahead of the game. Texas was talking to the Pac-12 and a little bit the ACC back in the day. But give A&M credit for having the guts to go to the SEC. Now, I think it's problematic that, A&M was kept in the dark about these negotiations, and that's why it leaked out last week. So, but it makes sense for both schools, quite frankly. It should make for great football.
Kirk, we appreciate your time. Thanks so much for joining us on short notice.
You know how long, roughly, this has been going on. And I think if you trace it back, it's probably, and based on what I've heard, it's right about the time to when ESPN got the deal over CBS. Do you think I'm completely off base here for writing it last night and saying that I think it's very feasible that ESPN said, take the deal with us and we'll get you OU in Texas? Because it gave them the ability to finally get rid of the Longhorn Network, which has been a kind of an albatross. It not only got them the SEC, it enhanced the SEC to add 2 national brands in college football, power brands, and then it also delivered an absolutely crushing blow, in my opinion, to Fox, and because it basically destroyed the Big 12. Do you think that type of conspiracy theory is off base, knowing what you know about the business?
Not at all. Going back more than 10 years, in 2010, I became aware of probably a 6-month or longer effort between Larry Scott and the Pac-10 at the time, and the leadership, DeLoss Dodds and Bill Powers, especially at UT Austin, in conversations, intense negotiations about not just Texas moving to the West Coast, but also other schools here coming with them. And that was totally done without even talking to anybody else. Mm-hmm. Scott came to me in 2010 with a complete schedule for all sports in a 16-team Pac-16 conference with 2 divisions, all planned out. That didn't happen overnight. That was a lengthy process.
That Texas A&M was completely in the dark about, correct?
Oh, I heard a few rumors like we've heard this week.
Yeah.
But it was something that had been going on for months and months prior to our learning about it.
Anything that he said that really stuck out to you?
No. I mean, I think he nailed it, and I wouldn't be able to pin one of the things down. I think he absolutely nailed everything he said, and I think just that Pac-16 thing is, to me, and we all knew about it because he's talked about it since, but when you tie it in with what's happening today, it's incredible. It's fascinating, and it shows how they work. And look, Greg Sankey is no Mike's Live.
Yeah.
And Greg Sankey might sit there and say, "You're right, I'm not." But he's not. And for that to have been done the way it was, they absolutely, as Andy and I were texting the other day, he said, I think A&M will get new guide in this deal, and that's what I used last night. I like that because it's absolutely true. They're the new guy, and they did something to A&M that they'd never do to Florida or Georgia, much less, Alabama or LSU. So you're stuck with it. You're in there. Here's my problem with it. This is the issue I have. The Longhorns and Sooners think this whole thing's funny, and you wish you could fast forward, right?
Right.
They are, in my opinion, like the collection of the fan base. I like, there's so many Longhorns that I'm close friends with, but at the collection in their totality, their leadership, past leadership, current leadership, the arrogance and the SEC doesn't know what they're letting in the door. It's kind of like, again, I said it's like sticking your hand out and helping someone that's drowning, and you never should have done it. We've seen the movies a million times. You live to regret it, and that's what's going to happen in this conference. A&M is going to be fine, and that's the problem that these Longhorns don't get. And join in with them in kicking their ass, and that's the best answer. And all of a sudden, it sounds real fun
for the Aggies.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so here's my pep talking, because you and I have discussed it. We did it over text the other night. We did it on the phone last night. The dynamics are going to be so different this time. And I think part of the issue is you have a lot of Aggies and also a lot of Longhorns that just assume it will be like it always was back in the Southwest Conference or in the Big 12. It will not. The dynamics are very different now because Texas is the new guy. And also, as Texas A&M is learning right now, just because you get mad about something doesn't mean you can tell Alabama, Georgia, Florida, LSU, and Auburn what to do. So the idea of Texas coming in and being this divisive force that just takes over, it's not going to happen. It will not happen when Alabama and Georgia are on the other side of the table are like, no, we don't agree with you. You can't Bigfoot them. So, I mean, that's the thing that Texas will have to learn from an administrative standpoint. And then from an on-field standpoint, I mean, Texas A&M is in such a better place as a football program right now than Texas's program. Now, we'll see what happens with Sark, but if you're picking between the two of them as a futures bet, A&M's the one you're taking. Yeah. Texas is the one that's going to have to recalibrate its recruiting and have the kind of personnel to have to play against Auburn and LSU and Alabama and all those every year. Now, they probably aren't going to have the completely stacked deck that A&M did with the West, the SEC West division, because you'd imagine it would go to pods. But you're still going to have to play those schools, and you're going to have to play Georgia, and you're going to have to play Florida. And listen, what about Texas on the field has suggested they could beat any of those teams on a regular basis, and or Ole Miss or Mississippi State. I mean, this is a program that struggles to beat TCU. So that's the thing. I wouldn't worry as much about that. And the analogy I gave you, Billy, it's sort of like if you're going to go with the big brother, little brother thing. Yeah. It's sort of like you have the 22-year-old brother who finishes college and comes back home for the summer, and the 18-year-old brother has been lifting a lot of weights. Yeah. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, dude, wait, you're a man now. Oh, crap. And the dynamics of the relationship change completely. And they should. And it'll be interesting because I actually think A&M and Texas might find themselves on the same side more often than not, because what is in the interest of the state of Texas might be different from what's in the interest of people in Alabama or people in Georgia or Florida or Louisiana. So it is not just going back to 2010 and Texas going, we are going to do this and we're going to start our own network, and all you plebes, you just sit there and take it. It won't be like that. I mean, think about this. What is the one thing Texas has to do to make this happen? The Longhorn Network, the thing everybody was so scared of, the big Death Star, it gets folded right into the SEC network. Mm-hmm. They get just as much airtime as the Aggies do on the SEC network. So it's not the same. That dynamic of they are going to try to lord it over you is over. So for Aggies, remember, there's no need to have that inferiority complex.
Yeah.
It's because you're not. You are superior on the field right now, and you're their peer in pretty much everything else. Because look at it. Look at it this way. They want to be where you are. That tells you everything.
Well, I am now sharing my proceeds with you. And you just, David, he just gave the best answer.
I'm writing a note right now because I want to use that later.
You used Bigfoot and plebe in the same answer about the SEC and A&M in Texas with Baby Yoda in the background. I just don't. I wasn't even sure what to think during all that, other than, man, he's going to require half my money on this one.
All right, guys, I think it's time to, you know what? Richard, come here. Help us here. I think we need to have them smash the like button, so do it for me. Smash the like button.
Smash the like button.
Okay, that was a little too loud in my ear. Also become a subscriber to our YouTube channel, and make sure you go to texags.com/subscribe and become a member. Premium coverage, we bring it to you. Now it's time for a nap.